Top 10 historical facts that are actually lies. History is often taught as a clean, straightforward timeline filled with dates, events, and well-known figures. But when you look deeper, many of the facts we grew up believing turn out to be myths, distortions, or complete fabrications. Some were created to inspire, others to control public opinion, and many simply evolved through generations of retelling until the truth was buried beneath the legend. From misunderstood heroes to falsely celebrated moments, the past is filled with hidden realities that contradict what we think we know. What makes this list truly fascinating is that every single entry, from number 10 all the way to the jaw-dropping number 1, exposes a historical lie that has been accepted for decades, if not centuries. In this video, we'll uncover the top 10 historical facts that are actually lies, revealing a side of history that most textbooks never mention. 1. Napoleon was short. The image of Napoleon Bonaparte as a tiny, aggressive man has become iconic, but it's far from reality. Historical records indicate that Napoleon stood around 5 feet 7 inches tall, which was actually above the average height for Frenchmen in the early 19th century. So why does the myth persist? Partly, it comes from British propaganda. During the Napoleonic Wars, the British wanted to ridicule their enemy, portraying him as small, weak, and comically aggressive. Additionally, some confusion arises from measurement differences. The French, pied, and the English, feet, weren't the same. Napoleon's supposed shortness became a symbol of ambition and overcompensation rather than actual stature. 2. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. Everyone has heard this. The Great Wall of China is the only man-made object visible from space. It sounds impressive, almost poetic, but it's simply not true. Astronauts who have actually orbited Earth confirm that the wall is extremely difficult to see without aid. Its width is relatively narrow, and it blends naturally with the terrain, making it nearly invisible from low Earth orbit. So how did this myth start? It seems to have originated in the 1930s when American writer William Stout claimed it could be seen from the moon, which is obviously impossible. Despite being debunked by astronauts like Chris Hadfield, the myth continues to circulate, probably because it's a powerful, simple way to convey the wall's immense scale. 3. Vikings wore horned helmets. When we think of Vikings, horned helmets immediately come to mind. Movies, comic books, and even opera have cemented this image in our collective imagination. Yet, there is no archaeological evidence that Viking warriors ever wore horned helmets in battle. The idea likely originated in the 19th century during a wave of romanticized depictions of Norse culture. Costume designers for operas, especially Wagner's Ring Cycle, added horns for dramatic effect. In reality, Viking helmets were practical, made for protection, and entirely hornless. Imagine charging into battle wearing a giant horned helmet. It would be more of a hazard than a fashion statement. 4. Columbus discovered America. Christopher Columbus is often credited with discovering America in 1492. But let's pause here. The Americas were already inhabited by millions of indigenous people who had built thriving civilizations for thousands of years. Furthermore, the Norse explorer Leif Erikson reached parts of North America around 1000 AD, long before Columbus set sail. Columbus's voyage is significant not because he was the first human to set foot on the continent, but because it marked the beginning of sustained European contact and colonization. The myth of him discovering America simplifies a complex history of migration, culture, and conquest into a single, Eurocentric narrative. 5. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." The infamous phrase, "let them eat cake," is attributed to Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, during a period of widespread famine. However, there is no evidence she ever uttered these words. The phrase had appeared in literature long before her time, and it was likely used as propaganda to vilify her and fuel revolutionary sentiment. Marie Antoinette's real story is far more nuanced. While she enjoyed luxury like many royals of the era, she was not the callous, insensitive figure history portrays. Misattributed quotes like this one helped create a caricature of the Queen, one that continues to mislead generations about her life and personality. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue uncovering hidden truths, exploring myths, and diving deep into the history that textbooks leave out. Trust us, there's so much more to discover. 6. The Salem witch trials were about burning witches. Hollywood often depicts the Salem witch trials with dramatic scenes of witches being burned at the stake. In reality, this never happened in Salem. People convicted of witchcraft were either hanged or imprisoned, and some died in jail. The trials were fueled by a combination of superstition, social tension, and personal vendettas. The myth of burning witches likely spread from European witch trials, where burning was more common. By dramatizing the executions, films have inadvertently created a misleading image of what actually happened in colonial Massachusetts. 7. Einstein failed math as a student. Albert Einstein is one of the most iconic geniuses in history, yet there's a persistent myth that he failed math as a student. This is entirely false. In fact, Einstein excelled at mathematics from a young age, mastering advanced calculus before he was 15. The myth may have arisen from a misreading of his early academic records or as a motivational story, suggesting that even a future genius could struggle. The reality is that Einstein's talents were evident early on, and he consistently demonstrated extraordinary mathematical and analytical abilities. 8. The American Revolution was a sudden outburst. We often imagine the American Revolution as a spontaneous uprising against British oppression in 1776, but the reality is far more complex. The conflict was the result of decades of political tension, taxation disputes, and ideological evolution. Revolutionary thought was influenced by European Enlightenment philosophy, economic pressures, and social change. The idea of a sudden, dramatic rebellion simplifies a long, multifaceted struggle into a neat story for textbooks, masking the deeper causes and gradual buildup of revolutionary fervor. 9. Humans only use 10% of their brains. This myth has infiltrated popular culture, inspiring movies, books, and motivational speeches. The claim that humans only use 10% of their brains is completely false. Modern neuroscience shows that nearly every part of the brain has a function. Even during sleep, many regions remain active. The persistence of this myth may stem from a desire to believe in untapped potential. It's an appealing idea. If only we could unlock the rest of our brains, imagine what we could achieve. But scientifically, it's nonsense. The brain is always working, and most of its functions are fully understood. 10. Napoleon's helmet actually had horns. Well, we couldn't resist a little callback. History is full of stories that twist, repeat, and exaggerate over time. What's clear is that many facts are not what they seem. Figures like Napoleon, Einstein, Columbus, and Marie Antoinette have been mythologized, their stories simplified for convenience or entertainment.